I'm gonna be so self-conscious
Why?
because we have an interloper here.
An interloper? Do you know that
Am
was
I using too big a vocabulary word for your small brain?
No, wait. I just remember that Al Sharpton used the word interloper to describe Jewish people in...
Excuse me?
He did. Al Sharpton went through a deeply anti-Semitic period. He said... So there was... You ever heard about Freddy's Fashion Mart in New York? So there was a neighborhood, I think it was Crown Heights, where it was both a Orthodox Jewish and an African American neighborhood. And this was back in the early 90s when he was big, Al Sharpton, when he was in the tracksuits and the fro and everything like that. This was after the FBI sting for cocaine. So he was he was talking about these, he got a whole group of black activists together, and he said these Jewish interlopers come into our neighborhoods and sell things to us, these diamond merchants. Like and he said the K word and some other stuff, and it was like, whoa. And then this Freddy's Fashion Mart was a Jewish business there, and some African American men went in there and killed the owner and like 3 other people during a riot, and that blood was kind of on Al Sharpton's hands. And then he got a gig on MSNBC. So, you know, that's what you get for it. But that's when I think of interloper, I think of... Look up Freddy's Fashion Mart. It's the 90s were wild. I'm Jewish from the waist down.
Okay.
I wish I was from the neck up.
I don't think people... Never mind. We're not a biology...
No. Yes, and. You're supposed to yes, and.
Okay.
Give me a job. Driver. Okay, where are we driving to?
I don't think people understand what that means. And it's like, well... When you say I'm Jewish from the waist down, that means you're circumcised. And it's like, well,
No,
most Americans are.
It means my wallet's fat.
Oh, okay.
No, it's dual meaning and dual citizenship. And I think that should be the title of this podcast. Well, if we still have one by the time this fucking show comes out.
I want to be Jewish by injection, so.
I thought you want to be Persian by injection.
Well,
you know,
there are Persian Jews.
I know, worst of both worlds. But could you imagine? I mean, either way you look at it, you can kiss bacon goodbye.
Okay, you know what? They'll have to deal. You know.
They'll have to deal?
Yes. Because I'll make bacon every fucking morning, just to keep my mother-in-law out of the house.
Oh, what you're doing? Just running after you, smelling like Chanel No. 5 and bourbon. You know, basically like Elizabeth Taylor towards the end. Did I ever tell you the Elizabeth Taylor story about when she was really sick? So, the gays will always support a woman with addiction. As you know. As you well know.
Okay.
As someone who that will be your final act. But
supporting a woman with addiction?
No, you'll be the woman with the addiction.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we're already there, so.
Already there.
I mean, I'm following the Chasen diet today. Chasen Buttigieg diet.
What? Pills, Adderall, and
took a Percocet. Now I'm drinking a mule. I'm sorry. Okay, his diet is technically white wine, but
can you imagine that Pete comes home and those kids are just like crawling around on the floor and Chasen's drunk and it's like 2 p.m. because you know in the federal government they all go home early, and then he just has to deal with that. Just dragging him off the ground. Chasen's little container of happy Tic Tacs aside. Liz Taylor towards the end. So, she was in a wheelchair for the past few years of her life. Unlike Liza Minnelli, who was shoved into a wheelchair by Lady Gaga to be thrust on stage at the Oscars. We've
covered that already.
Against her will. You're supposed to yes and.
No.
Anyway.
You found the wrong faggot for that.
Anyway, Liz Taylor used to wheel her into the Abbey at 4 p.m. The gays.
Excuse me?
They used to wheel her into the Abbey, and there's pictures of this in like 2006, 2007. Wheel her into the Abbey. There would be gay men throwing themselves at her feet. They would all kiss her ring. They would get her little crown royal, and that would be her night. And so, you know, who among us? That could be us in 2 years if we play our cards right. But she was there.
Cross your fingers.
She would show up in probably $2 to $3 million worth of jewelry to go to the Abbey. Oh, so an update on the Palm Springs tranny bucks, because I seriously looked into it. The idea of 5 of us moving there, getting a house, and pretending to be non-binary, and getting $900 a month each, $4,500 a month.
What is wrong with you?
That could pay a mortgage.
What is wrong with you?
I looked into it seriously. So here's what happened.
No. You looked into it. You did not look into it seriously.
I did look into it seriously. You saw that mid-century modern house. It's very nice. That could pay the mortgage. They had a pool.
Okay.
Okay, so Tranny Bucks. Tranny Bucks, the sequel.
I'm playing into his delusion, folks. So okay.
Delusion.
Let's go down the rabbit hole, please.
Palm Springs has everything that you like: warm weather, older gays, and good drinks.
Big pocketbooks.
Yeah, they're retired there, and not on Social Security, on like big ass pensions. Like people who sell companies, gays who sell companies live there. They all fist each other. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I'm not into that.
Well, if you have to go ring deep to get the money, if the wallet's in there, you got to do what you got to do. Turn the other way. So anyway,
I don't want to be a puppet.
No, I don't want to be a Muppet. You're the puppeteer.
Excuse me?
You're the puppeteer.
No. No. I've done that once. It's not going to happen again.
I'm not going to even ask about that story.
You shouldn't.
I won't. I'll just assume you got into cattle husbandry. Anyway.
Sure.
Sure. Not actual husbandry. So Palm Springs they said it was $900 if you're trans. We'll give it to you as part of our pilot program. The trans mayor, as we talked about, said no. I don't want this. So
Gay icon.
Gay icon.
Gay conservative icon.
Trans conservative icon. Like it's the mayor of Palm Springs and Caitlyn. And Blair White. It's a short list. It's 3 of them and they've all had dinner together. So.
And why were we invited?
I want to fucking go to dinner with Caitlyn so bad. Could you imagine?
And Blair.
That'd be so much fun.
She's starting her podcast soon. But anyway,
good for her.
Finish your
Well, then we have to get invited on that too. Caitlyn still owes me those fucking t-shirts, by the way.
Well, okay.
She needs to
finish your story.
She needs to get Sophia off the bottle and onto the drop shipping. So, Palm Springs. They said we're not actually handing out any money to any individuals. We are putting $200,000 aside for a pilot program to even research if this would be effective. So it's not going to happen because they're going to do the pilot program and they're going to realize, oh yeah, this is fucking dumb. You can't just give people money for being trans. And they're going to quietly abandon it, and that was the end of that. Also, they got a lot of blowback for it. Even by their own mayor. For something that's so stupid of just giving universal basic income to people because they decide to lob all their genitals.
Well, to be fair, $900 a month is not a livable income in Palm Springs.
Well, no.
It's something.
Yeah, it's something.
Right? But it's not, for one person, it's not livable.
You could share a room in a place.
You could be the Golden Girls and be okay.
We're Golden Girls.
Which is what you were suggesting us.
We have a Golden Girls house in Palm Springs.
Oh, Jesus.
We're already going to retire. And,
I'm not ready for retirement yet.
Well?
I mean, I'm getting old, but you can't wheel me into a...
Into the Abbey. I'm getting old, but you can't wheel me into the Abbey. That's going to be the title of this episode. Abortion. How many have you had by now? Maybe 7th? 8th?
You can't just drop that word. Abortion.
So, Ho's mad.
Very quickly.
What? Ho's mad.
Best line of any television show I've ever seen. Very last line of the first episode of the TV series Weeds. You little cunt. I should have had an abortion. And then it goes to credits and you're just like, what? Best line ever. Anyway, speaking of abortion.
And now she's an elected official. Speaking of abortion. So something unprecedented happened, and by the time this goes to, print, how old am I? By the time that this is released, it'll probably have been decided, because I think this upcoming Monday they're supposed to release a decision. I read that today.
Oh, I thought it was in June.
They said as late as June, but I think it could happen as soon as this Monday. So, a draft a Supreme Court draft was leaked. First time in history. Has never happened before.
Correct.
The leaker's identity is still unknown, which makes me think they're probably in witness protection now. But a draft was leaked of a Supreme Court decision that... Now, Planned Parenthood versus Casey in 1992 essentially overturned Roe versus Wade as policy and threw things back to the states and allowed states to decide abortion policy. This new decision based on a Mississippi law which set new terms for abortion to not happen basically once the child's already is born just reinforces the Planned Parenthood versus Casey 1992 decision, stating that Roe versus Wade is outdated policy, the right to privacy that was found by Roe versus Wade is not correct, and it's only applicable to this situation, just this unknown right to privacy that was created in 1970.
It's not how I understood it. But
how do you understand it? No, tell me. That's what I read. Maybe I'm wrong. This is all very nebulous.
I understood the Casey argument, the Casey decision being, when is abortion allowed?
Yeah.
So, what trimester? That kind of thing.
Right.
So, allowing states to decide, okay, abortion is legal because of Roe versus Wade. But Casey said, but each state can decide what the bar is of, okay, we'll allow abortion up to the third trimester. We'll allow abortion up to the day of birth. That kind of thing. So where do we draw the line of when it becomes a human life?
Right.
That's what Casey established.
Right.
So
which some legal scholars have
preemptively,
said, yeah, overturned.
They thought that this Dobbs case, which is the one that the thing that the opinion that leaked, they thought that they would overturn Casey, but not overturn Roe, because that was quote unquote set precedent and they wouldn't touch it.
Okay.
The big revelation here is that, oh, wait a minute. They didn't only overturn Casey, they overturned Roe as well.
Okay.
So that's why people expected Casey to be overturned. They didn't expect Roe to be overturned.
Well, Casey was a stopgap because it was 1973 to 1992 that abortion was no longer state policy, it was federal policy. Casey challenged that because they wanted to set limits. Yes. So it overturned, I guess you could say, that portion of Roe that would allow abortions at any trimester or whatever.
Right, so Casey already overturned part of Roe.
Yes.
Or Casey put stipulations on Roe. Yes,
right,
yes.
So it was an asterisk. Which, by the way, this is very difficult policy to understand because...
Which is why I listened to David French and Sarah Isker talking about it.
I will stab you. But anyway, so Casey overturns some portion of Roe regarding it sets a limitation. Look, you can't abort a kid that's like 2 weeks old. Like you can't abort a kid in the ninth trimester or the ninth.
We abort you?
Well, it's close. 28th trimester. So that was kind of the standard that was set. Now with this new case, it's saying, whoa. Even obviously these third trimester abortions are not okay. Now we're looking at some second trimester abortions also not being okay. So this blanket policy of Roe doesn't work. Casey should be moved back a little bit further, so it's already invalid now. And it's back to state policy being set. Now, this decision, from what I understand, if it stands of a 6-3 decision, right? It would be Roberts plus Gorsuch.
No. 5-4.
5-4, okay. So, Gorsuch...
That's why this is so important.
Okay.
That's why it was leaked.
Okay. So
that is why it was leaked, because it's 5-4.
So you're Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Barrett, so the 3 Trump justices, plus Alito, Thomas, so the 2 previous conservative justices, 5. On the 4 side, you have the Dyke and the other Dyke, Sotomayor and Kagan, and you have Breyer, who's on his way out.
Right.
Okay. And so it's 3. And then Roberts is on their side with this?
Yes.
So that was... one of
because
his
he's not
staff leaked
conservative.
So one of his staff leaked it. It's going to be either a Breyer... I mean, the original thinking was it was a outgoing Breyer staffer or a...
They couldn't. No, they couldn't. Because the draft of a...
The draft of a majority decision was seen by Alito and the Chief Justice.
Because, well, Alito wrote it.
Yeah.
So, but... Oh, I see what you mean. The Chief
Yeah.
Justice. Yes,
So the
yes,
Chief
yes. I
Justice-
got you.
So when they
yes.
originally said it's probably a
I was about to
sodomite-
say, because someone on the other side would not have seen it, but the Chief Justice would have. Of course,
well,
you're right.
although
right.
maybe, because apparently from what we've understood from this entire process, probably Sotomayor staff saw it, which is who we thought originally leaked it. But if it's the case that the Chief Justice plus only the majority justices saw this, then it kind of points the finger at Roberts or Robert Stafford. Because here's what concerns me. They've done
Honestly,
an investigation allegedly for over a week now. Maybe almost 2 weeks. Is it almost 2 weeks? This, quote, investigation has found no one. Although apparently the reporter who leaked it is very good friends with the Sotomayor clerk. Like, there's some, like, very close relationship there. They've been photographed together. They know each other. So it was possible as a Sotomayor clerk, so maybe they were privy to the decision. But this whole idea, no one has found who the leaker is. Which then lends some credence to the theory that it was a justice, like Roberts, that potentially leaked it, hoping
no, I don't think so.
The decision would be changed. Here's what worries me. This person should have been found out now. And if they were on the right and they were trying to force, if they were on Alito's side or whatever, and they were trying to force the hand of whoever was in between a justice kind of thing of like, look, I leaked where your position was, so you can't change it now. It feels like they obviously would have been found out by now. If they're on the left, and they're going to get some cushy MSNBC speaking gig, and they're going to get a book deal out of this about, like, the Supreme Court that I know, and they watch, like, you know, Justice Thomas take a shit or something, and they're going to expose him for it. They would have gotten the MSNBC deal and everything by now. The fact that we don't know is so weird to me, because all their communications, emails, phone calls, everything are monitored. Everybody is under some kind of watch. This is a very secretive group of people, and the drafts, like they said, the drafts are not even emailed. The drafts are printed out and handed to people. Someone had to go with the copy machine at the Supreme Court and fax it to somebody. Like, and they're all watched within the office, so you can't, you can't draft an 80-page, you can't send an 80-page decision without somebody fucking noticing. That's the part that's so weird. Like, you can't stuff it in your socks like Sandy Berger did at the National Security Agency.
The fact that it was sent to Politico,
A Politico reporter who was apparently
suggests
suggests
that we're talking about someone who's on the left.
I think so. I still think it is. They're just trying to secure an exit for this person.
Because they want exactly what has happened. They want some type of intimidation of these justices to have one of them change their opinion.
Well, we see that now.
Because it's 5-4, could easily happen. But the fact is, it's fucking illegal.
Well, obviously. And we'll get to that in a second. So, what's happened since this is that multiple Supreme Court justices have had protests outside their houses. Kavanaugh, Barrett, Alito, I think Gorsuch as well. Outside their homes. Some of them are in Silver Springs, Maryland. Some of them are in Virginia, near Arlington. Some of them all, they all live in nice suburban neighborhoods away from Washington, D.C. I don't think any of them live in Washington, D.C., and I don't blame them. So they've had these, crazy-ass pussy hat women and everything up and down their streets screaming, banging pots and pans and everything like that, which everybody must love, including apparently one of Kavanaugh's neighbors sold him down the street and was protesting. And then another neighbor was just playing the piano, to drown out the sound of the protesters. So how'd you like to live next to a Supreme Court justice and you have some asshole sitting there down your street and they were like, we're going to play the piano, so you don't have to hear
Sounds like something out of White Noise.
Exactly. They were just they were playing, I don't know. I'd be blasting Fuck the Pain Away by Peaches to hopefully keep them away. But
Jesus.
I'd turn on the sprinklers. But could you imagine living next door to a Supreme Court justice and it's just a nice person in their family? This person just happens to have a government job like everybody else on your street. And now all of a sudden you can't get your groceries from Trader Joe's because some fat bitch is sitting in your driveway with a loudspeaker yelling at your neighbor and you can't get in and out of your house. It would be absolutely infuriating. But so getting back to this thing here, so Alito has had to endure basically witness protection. Him and his family have been moved to a secure location. Multiple other justices are probably in the same location now because if something happens to one of the Supreme Court justices, that would be You talk about threatening democracy. That would be like the worst thing to happen to American politics. Probably since the Kennedy assassination. Like that would be, obviously a horrible, horrible shift. So in Virginia and in Maryland, from what I understand, they both have laws on the books saying you cannot protest outside of a public official's home, especially if they're in the judiciary, because that could influence a decision, and it falls under a special category of like, you cannot do this. It's just not being enforced.
But I think it's a national law that you cannot.
It might be national.
You cannot protest outside of. You can't try to influence a judge or juror's decision.
Right, because it's interfering with the judicial process.
Right.
In the same way where if you tried to give a jury like news materials, like it's the same shit.
Right. So in the case of a jury, right, the whole entire case would be dismissed, and you'd have to find another jury and retry the whole thing.
But you can't do that with the Supreme Court.
You can't do that with the Supreme Court, so that's why it should be enforced even more, and they're not doing it.
What I learned about this, and I was surprised, why doesn't the Supreme Court just own like 7 houses in D.C. or 9 houses in D.C. near Colorado, and they just secure that block off? Like, why do they not just live in government housing or something like that? Like, why do they still have a civilian housing? Because it can't be safe. Look, the part of taking the job, and this is going to, by the way, this entire thing is going to chill the process for anybody who wants to take a Supreme Court job in the future, because you and your family and your partner and your children's lives will be irreparably changed by this.
Good luck, Ketanji.
Good luck. Well, it's a lifetime appointment. What is the job? The president's not a lifetime appointment. Congress isn't a lifetime appointment, even though Nancy Pelosi's been there since Reconstruction. So they can leave whenever they want. These people can't leave. They
can retire.
They treated Breyer like shit for retiring, though.
Yeah.
And all this could have been avoided, by the way, if Ruth Bader Ginsburg retired during Obama's administration, like she should have. We would have never been in this mess.
Dumb bitch.
Well, she wanted to hang on a couple more years. She was planking. Okay, the funniest clip.
She died she died months and months and months before they announced it.
And they just put a wig on her. They just put a wig on a mannequin, and they're like, she's still here. My favorite thing will always be the Trump clip. She just died, and then you have Blue Jean Baby, L.A. Lady playing in the background. She led an amazing life. She was a wonderful woman. You're just telling me this just now. Thank you. And he just walks away. It was the best moment of his presidency. She just died? I'm hearing this for the first time. With Tiny Dancer playing in the background. That's when I learned we were all in a simulation. And it's not real. Well, so you heard Elon said today. Elon, my boy, Elon. Said today. Okay,
your boy.
Here we go. Elon tweeted, "Even though I think a less divisive candidate would be better in 2024, I still think Trump should be restored to Twitter." So he's going to get his Twitter account back.
Okay.
And Trump said, "I am in favor of Elon buying Twitter. I think it's a good move." And, so we'll see. I think that obviously he needs his Twitter account back. Like, nothing's changed in the past year. Whether you start a new social media platform, yes, no, whatever, I think it's important.
Trump has made his mark and his presence known without having a fucking Twitter account. Like,
yeah,
he's perfectly capable of making his opinions and his voice heard.
He's a big tranny.
Without a Twitter account. Like, he's figured out his own way.
Yeah.
So why does he need it back? Like, I understand it makes it easier.
You don't get that daily update of, oh shit, what did he do now? Like, no one gets that anymore. And that's the part that people miss. Because he would, in one breath, in one
tweet.
Well,
might be several breaths, but one tweet.
Several breaths. He's breathing through it. In one tweet, take down the Khomeini government in Iran, some PGA golfer, and complain about Nancy Pelosi. Like, who else has that range? The girls don't have the range. They don't. They don't have the range that Trump had. She is that girl. She's still that bitch. We need that immediate... I think that's how we restore the balance. Because the balance is off now.
No, it's not.
The balance is off.
It's not.
You have a president who doesn't know what day it is. You have a vice president who doesn't know, whose dick to suck. You've got inflation out the ass. You've got problems with other countries. You have Russia, having a big trans war with Ukraine. You need that voice back. Do you think he needs his Twitter account?
No. Well, okay. I'm not opposed to it. Yes. Okay. I want free speech. I want him to have every platform he can to make whatever proclamations he wants to make. But
don't butt me.
But I don't think he's suffering because he doesn't have a Twitter account.
I don't think he's suffering. I think that we're suffering.
Oh my God. Okay.
True.
Well, I'm not that much of a true believer, so
it's not that.
I guess I'm not ultra MAGA.
I just missed that. By the way, I use that as a deodorant, ultra MAGA, right? It's next to my Mitchum.
What'd you call me?
We are worse off because of it.
Okay, whatever. Last thing.
I love how you just cast on his side. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Last thing. Fuck you.
Thing. Fuck you.
This is what I deal with. I feel like the David French in this Sarah Isgur Flores.
Because you are.
No, I'm not. I didn't adopt 18 kids, and my opinions are good.
It's been a lovely evening.
No, it hasn't. You have to lie.
Good night, everyone.
Anyway.